Welcome to another episode of the Prospects Live Dynasty Show. Whether you were watching us on YouTube or listening to us on your podcast feed, we are happy that you are here with us. I'm your host, Eddy. I'm joined by Ralph Lifshitz and Matt Thompson as usual. Boys, I have a question here. You're a pitcher in the MLB. What does a batter have to say to you in a fantasy baseball comment? Like, what fantasy baseball comment does a batter have to say to you for you to charge him? Just charge at him. He says something so disgusting, something that you don't agree with so hard that you got to catch them paws. What's he saying to you, Ralph?
He's probably a catcher, and he's probably like, watch me hit this 95 over that wall over there, buddy. I'm the catcher you want to own. How's that for not owning catchers in fantasy? You don't want to chase catchers? I'm going to hit 30 homers off you right now.
Says, I got to be rostered.
Yeah.
Matt, what fantasy baseball slander is being said to you by that batter that you just can't agree with and you just got to rush him?
Batting average is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean, I'm not
friends with that comment.
I'm not about that life. Give me the power, man.
I think for me, if the batter would have to look me in the eyes and say, Eddy, I make my draft judgments based on preseason ADP where he was drafted in the draft. And I would just come at him I would get a bat from the dugout and just chase after him. If you tell me that batter tells me he's making decisions on my trade offers based on where he was drafted in the preseason, gloves are coming off, buddy.
Here's a new one.
It's you and me.
Here's a new one. He's going to tell me that he's taking victory laps when players get hurt.
Make him the next hurt one.
Yeah, that's
honestly,
right
I like those.
That's right up there with the
I like when Gray takes victory laps after like Daniel Murphy's out for the season.
Well, great.
He's like, I told you he was.
Great.
But here's the thing: pitcher victory laps on injuries. I'm not sure I'm against that because I feel like that's the entire reason that you might battle against like.
No, it is injury risk, right?
That's why you put round or Verlander or something.
Yep. No, I get you that, but like the victory laps when Stanton got injured were the most.
Wow, you're gonna get those. Everybody hates it. It's
like he probably wouldn't be there in the third or fourth round if he wasn't going to get hurt. So what do you like?
How dare Giancarlo Stanton be a fun player who hits home runs?
Right.
How dare he have muscles and not look like Bartolo Colon with a mid-4s ERA? Then everyone would love him.
Everyone loves Bartolo. No matter what he does off the field, everyone loves Bartolo.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, he's
himself
so that makes him great.
Yeah, go to Dominican Republic and get some sketchy surgeries and come back and all that stuff.
All those injections in Berlin, whatever
his bingo card. His bingo card is full on things to do off the field. So,
well, thanks for tuning into the Bartolo Colon Slander podcast. I'm your host, Eddy.
Everything is true. It's not slander if it's true.
You don't really guess my goat about Bartolo Colon.
I think Matt, that batter would just have to just say good things about Bartolo Colon, and you would charge him. I think that's what it is.
I'd come off the bench and back you up, dude.
There you go.
I'd be the second man in.
Perfect. Good. That's all we need.
Well, if you're listening to us on a podcast on a platform you can rate us, please do give us 5 stars. If we help you get that leg up with your teammates, drop us a line. If we help you shed some light on some news, if you answer your questions, just anything that reacts positively on your outlook in life in the dynasty baseball world, drop us some 5 stars. It does help us. It keeps us helps us keep climbing those ranks, and we very much so appreciate it. This week on Prospects Live, catching you up on some articles you may not have read. I know we're pumping out a lot of good content lately with our big league debuts. There's a lot of movement going on now. Want to introduce Wyatt Kleinberg officially to the Prospects Live family. He joined our staff and made a debut, the equivalent of like a 2-home run game in his major league debut with his article. It's a 3-part series. Part 1 drop. It's what metrically makes an ace. And he talks about the vertical approach angle, if I'm not mistaken, right? Vertical approach angle. That was the word. It's about how extension is used, how release height is used, and how those things work in conjunction. Like how does Max Scherzer, Corey Kluber, Josh Hader, those guys all have something similar, and Wyatt dives into that and then applies that to the 2021 MLB draft pitchers and guys that stand out in that way that might portend to bigger things than where they are ranked right now. So big shout out to Wyatt. Great article. Look for his stuff. And of course, in case you haven't noticed, every weekend now we are updating top 100 lists for starting pitchers, hitters, and relievers. Starters, Ralph, you had the most recent go at it.
Yes.
Phil Goyette has the hitters, and Jason Kamlowski relievers. So tremendous job by the three of you. So every week on the weekends, be sure to give that a look. This is for MLB redraft, ranking the guys rest of the season to see where they stack up. And I use that as sort of a cross-reference when I'm maybe looking at, okay, who are some guys I should be looking to trade for, or maybe some guys to pick up that maybe Ralph has higher than I do. So, most recently, Ralph, you had Frankie Montas really high, and this is before his start against Houston. So you are very vindicated right now. I don't disagree. He's a really good pitcher. My taste, he was a bit too high, but looks like you were right on the money there. So, these are the things you want to use this for.
Splitters, man. I love me a splitter.
Splitters are nice, man. If you can spin them, do it. Of course, if you listen to this by now, I would hope you know that we had dropped a top 500 fantasy list. So please be on the lookout for that. Look at it. Hit us up with what guys you want to see higher, who you would have lower, who we missed overall. I'm working on some content that spins off of that, so be on the lookout for that this week. And finally, the Dynasty Baseball Championship standings have been live for a couple of weeks, y'all. So if you are part of one of the 660 teams out there that's participating in TDBC, please take a look, see where you rank. I am 232nd out of 660. Ralph, you are 125th. Matt, you are 330th. So, 5 year. These are 5 year standings, boys. So we're only about two and a half weeks until it's 5 years. So a lot of time to be right or wrong. Hopefully no one's taking any victory laps anytime soon.
Somebody is somewhere. You know that.
Maybe. What? Like if I was number one, I'd feel nice.
I legitimately just took a victory lap right here. It's like, hey, I'm the highest ranked out of you three. What's up, suckers?
Yeah, listen, Aaron Judge can only do so much for my team. I have a horrendous team.
My $50 team is really good, and my $200 team is not great.
My $200
team is going to be really good in 2023.
On one of my teams, I think I can't even build a healthy staff with my pitchers. They're all hurt. So it's fun.
That was like my TGFBI this weekend.
That TDBC draft, guys, that was such a fun draft, but one of the most difficult drafts, if not the most difficult draft I've ever done. And for those maybe that have kind of joined the Prospects Live readership family in the last few weeks as the season opens, to catch up, TDBC, it was a draft we did in the offseason where we drafted a best ball team. These are best ball teams where we drafted for 5 years. So we're drafting with guys that are going to be on our squads for 5 years. And each year we get to draft 10 new players, and then we cut 10 before the season starts. So, yeah, really, really tough to draft for. So many things to take into
consideration.
I still don't know why Max Schrock is on my roster. Maybe
up now.
Yeah, he was called. Maybe that's what I was thinking, man. I looked back on that team and I was wondering what the hell was I thinking with some of these dudes, man. I have maybe like 8 active hitters on that team. But yeah, so TDBC standings are live. Please check them out. All right, boys, let's go on to the news. Not too much in the news world. I guess sort of a good thing maybe. But starting negatively, of course, St. Louis Cardinals have another positive test. Their games were postponed yesterday, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're scheduled to play a doubleheader versus Detroit on Thursday. So just remind the audience, we're recording this on Sunday evening. If there's any huge developments, we won't unfortunately be able to account for this. And if it's anything super seismic, I can maybe get on the phone here and record an intro like I did with the Marlins at one time. Anything, guys, from either of you? I mean, I guess fantasy wise, make sure you keep your Cardinals out of the lineup. If it's a weekly lineup thing, I know it's really tough. I'm not sure. Like you leave the studs in there, like maybe Goldschmidt and Wong, maybe.
Goldschmidt, Edman, and Flaherty for me are the only 3 I'm rolling out there right now.
Yeah, it's a bummer, Ralph. There's not much to really bounce off here.
Here's
but
a quick question for you guys: Rafael Montero, how much you bidding on him at TGF?
Oh man, new Texas Rangers closer.
I'll happily tell you guys.
Title that really,
that's
always go up when you hear
that. That title has probably been on his 4th different name already. So I mean, that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. If you don't have any other closers, Montero was pretty solid last year as a setup guy.
I'm my current bid right now, and we'll
15% of what you got left.
I was gonna say
20%?
100 out of 6. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's about
wait,
similar.
100 out of
15 to
600.
20%.
100 out of 559.
Yeah, that's about 20%.
Yeah.
I'm going hardcore at him. I'm got 336 on him.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe
So
I'm way off.
I'll save my bid.
I don't need saves.
Uh,
Knock on wood. So
I just need arms because I had Morton's hurt now, and I lost Birdie this week. I'm not so sure about Kella, and I haven't heard back on Araldis. I've just had like an absolute carousel in terms of my starters. My hitting has been good, but if I have a down week in TGFBI and hitting, I'm like cooked.
It's tough.
You guys just convinced me. I'm going to put in a bid for Montero right now.
You should. I mean,
can't let him go for free to somebody else. So.
Exactly. You
Especially
can't
right now. You
can't just let him ride for free. I always say put in some just in case bids, just because you never know. Just in case you win them. Like I have a just in case bid on I don't really have a just in case. I mean, like I got like Robbie Grossman.
I have a just in case bid on Brad Keller because he looked good the other night.
Interesting.
Hey, that's good. First start back last time too.
Showing more velocity too off the COVID list.
That's not a bad.
Yeah, he went 5 scoreless against the Cubs, man. Struck out 7.
Tough offense. Cubs hitting the ball hard all over the place.
I will drop a little line on him on Brad Keller.
I got
Good
a on him.
John Means or Brad Keller?
Brad Keller.
Okay, maybe I'll
I think he's a guy. I think he's a guy that you could probably spend $1 on, maybe 2, and win him in your league because nobody else is going to be paying attention to
him. I mean, he's the established. Him and Danny Duffy are the established veteran anchors of the Kansas City Royals rotation.
I kind of like Duffy too.
I got a bid in on Duffy right now. So.
I've had Duffy actually for a couple of weeks.
All right, that was a very sudden detour, but let's keep it going with the news. Ramon Laureano, of course, if you've seen the highlights by now. It seems a little outdated to talk about this when this is going to air in a day and a half or so. But charged a dugout, a Houston dugout, and we don't know at the moment what the suspensions are.
Said about his mother supposedly, so I don't fault the man.
Whatever it is, just bad luck on both teams there. But who stands to gain the most here? I guess let's make a prediction because hopefully we'll find out by the time this airs on Tuesday. I'm thinking Chris Davis just back into an everyday role. For the meantime, he's actually lost a lot of at-bats, man. It's kind of been bummed about.
Piscotty's playing every day, right?
Piscotty's playing every day.
I like Piscotty. Mark Canha.
Canha's playing every day. So it's really just Robbie Grossman and I guess Chris Davis, really. So maybe Chris Davis is in line for the at-bats or Grossman, one of those two. Anything on the Ramon Laureano, Oakland Athletics?
Got to be Grossman,
boys.
It's got to be Grossman because Davis can't play center field. Unless they put Canha out there.
Yeah, no, you're
right. I don't
right.
know if they do that either.
Yeah, so they might go. Luis Barrera, prospect might not be too bad.
They trade for Jorge Mateo again and bring him back. It's a debut time. Okay, speaking of debut, not much news there. Let's get into the fun stuff, the meaty stuff. We had the Spencer Howard Phillies right-hander debut against Atlanta. He was at home. Not so hot. It was a very anticipated debut. We dropped a great preview article by Jacob Swyback, who had a lot of great stuff to say about Spencer Howard. He's a universal top 30 prospect, more or less. But, Atlanta smacked them around. They're a good team. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Mediocre. They kind of started banging on him toward the back end of his outing. Guys, I have a few thoughts myself, but Matt, I'll kick it off to you first. I don't know if you're able to catch some of the start or some of the highlights and maybe form any early takeaways on Spencer Howard and what his immediate future looks like, or maybe what some concerns, what surprised you, et cetera, et cetera.
I was in and out. I did catch a good portion of the start. The curveball was surprising to me. It was a little bit better than I anticipated or remembered it being. He's advertised as a upper 90s with a plus changeup. He was more 94, 95 tonight from what I saw. I saw a beautiful right-on-right changeup, too.
I think I saw
or Riley.
Yes, I saw the same one, man.
That thing was absolutely filthy.
That was a 70 changeup right there.
He's a 7 changeup.
Yeah. But that thing was a weapon. Hopefully he can stay ahead in the count more and be able to use it, especially right on right. You don't see that too often. But
that's confidence. That's a sign of confidence.
It really is. Again, breaking ball was better than I thought. It was a big slow breaker, kind of old school retro style. mid 70s compared to the rest of the stuff out there. But he's going to improve. He's going to be more efficient. He's a little bit hittable today, missing over the plate, but little fine tuning stuff. Howard's going to be just fine. He's probably the Phillies' third best starter right now, and gives them a weapon if they make the postseason. So good for Howard.
Ralph, what I know you were watching the first major.
I was watching a golf tournament for the first time in my life.
But any Howard takeaways that you're able to form from Twitter or from highlights or whatever?
Yeah, I haven't gone in and watched the game yet. I was going to try to check that one out tonight, dice it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I watched an inning or so. You got hit around a little bit. Yeah. You actually made a really good pitch to Freeman. I think Freeman put over the wall.
Yeah.
That was a good pitch. It was just
the Acuna homer wasn't a bad pitch either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I saw that one.
That wasn't a bad pitch either. It got out to right field, and it really wasn't a bad pitch.
I don't love his breaking ball. I think it's probably going to be relatively easy to pick up out of his hands.
Looked good today, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong.
It's a pitch to steal strikes more than it is to put away batters.
Yeah, I think it's just an off-balance thing.
Yep.
Like it's a different look that you can show people. But the fastball changeup combination is really good. His arm speed sells it. He pronates it, so you get some run on it. Some late fade. I like the pitch a lot. It was weird because and they've had some weird stuff with I guess Hawkeye this year. But it was actually, I know Lance mentioned this to me via text when I was at my son's baseball game actually. When that was going on. And he said that Hawkeye was picking up some of the changeups as curveballs.
Yeah, they had some depth to them. I can see why. If you watch the game, it's obvious, clear to tell, but
he was
hard for the machine to pick it up.
It was obviously a lot of fastballs, right? That was the majority of his pitches, but then it was a slider changeup, and I'll be honest, I didn't know his slider had that much drop to it, to the point where when I first tuned in, I was like, wait a second, is that a curveball? But then it was a bit too hard to be a curveball. But he went to his slider a lot more than his curveball early on. Some of the things that stuck out to me, I actually had a chance to watch a decent amount of the start. I was playing MLB The Show, and then I would go back and pause and watch a pitch and back and forth. No whiffs on the fastball today. He averaged 93.5 on the fastball. He started off like 94, 95, like you said, Matt, but he dropped to like 90, 92 as it went on. So, and that's when the damage started coming in too. He was lacking some.
It looks straight too, the fastball.
Yeah, it did. He was lacking some control early on. He had good command, and eventually the control and the command got there. The changeup was lacking some command when it was on. I mean, it was really on, like we talked about. But yeah, the slider was really impressive. And the curveball, he used it to steal a lot of strikes early on, and he'd double up and triple up on it too.
Yeah. The distinction you made with the slider and curveball is a strong one, because the slider he got Ozuna to strike out on looked like a curveball. It's more of a modern curveball because it was in the mid 80s, but then you see him with the big slow. That's what I was referring to, the big 74 mile an hour curveball that he was just kind of flipping up there to steal strikes. But the slider is more of a put away pitch. His fastball is obviously his changeup and his slider are the put away pitches. His fastball is obviously his go to just to get ahead, and he'll flash that curveball every now and then.
Yeah, this is someone who already has the arsenal he has what he needs already to be a very good major league starting pitcher. This isn't someone who's coming up and we're wondering, like Brady Singer, like, all right, where's that third pitch? Can you get that third pitch going? This is someone who's going to come into the game giving you 3 full pitches and playing with a fourth, right? So you always, pitchers, their ERA correlates well when, the more they add a pitch. And I forgot the number. I know Saris mentions it a lot. I forgot like how much your runs drop by every time you add a pitch or you have an extra pitch.
Good times through the order penalty doesn't hurt as much when you have
exactly. Yeah. So, by that, I think the floor is nice. It's nice and solid with Spencer Howard. This was a really good team. Like you mentioned, Ralph, the Freddie Freeman home run was a dot on the outside corner that Freeman just simply took the other way. I mean, there's not.
Acuna was the other way too. Not a bad pitch. So
yeah. Those are just great major league hitters. You tip your cap and just move on. Hard to fault them there. My only little small concerns were just the velocity kind of dipped a little bit more than I would like as the game goes on. But otherwise, I'm encouraged. I would be careful. He's not an auto start for me. I'd be careful rolling out against any top 10 MLB offenses right now.
But he's a guy you can throw out with confidence that he's not going to get shut down. I don't think this year. I think he's in the rotation for the rest of the run. I know it was a doubleheader today, but
I see no reason. I mean, even though the final box score line wasn't ideal, I see no reason why he can't continue in this way.
Want to do like a little would you rather with him or Brady Singer?
Oh, Howard is not. It's not even
Agreed.
Close. Spencer Howard or Dustin May?
Dustin May.
I'm May as well.
Yeah,
I ranked May higher, I think, too. No,
actually, you know what? Yeah,
I think you did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know because I remember Spencer Howard was way down in your
as he should have been
ranks.
Start against the Braves.
He wasn't. I don't think he was. I mean, for like
your top 100.
I meant like actual like prospects, like our
500
for fantasy.
I'm talking about just for this year when I did the Who Would You Rather.
Well, let's look at your top 100 MLB redraft list for this year, Ralph. So I'll
actually, I had Howard
74,
8 spots higher than May.
No, and wait, you talking about?
I'm talking about my prospect list because that's long term.
Yeah, Howard is top 30s for all.
Howard was an ad that hadn't pitched yet, so for me, he kind of gets plopped into a nice area where he's above the really bad guys. But I don't want to put. So my thing, and I think this is maybe a discussion we should have, maybe not on this show, but just anytime. I have very much gotten in the mindset. We can call it the Jason principle, the Jason Dominguez principle, but I'm fine being lower on guys now when they're younger, and I can move them up. You know. And
I was going to send you a plaque in the mail for being the highest guy.
You know, yeah. You know what?
You can put it on the back of the wall. Hey, I need some stuff on my wall. So if I'm the high guy, just send it to me. I'll put them on the.
Get a plaque.
Yeah.
I already commissioned my shirt and apostle one, so I should.
It'll look nice in between the leaves behind you.
Yeah, it would. It'll replace the leaves. Yeah. So in our top 500, we have Howard, 20. So 31. Dustin May 28. So it's almost a coin flip with those two, and I'm fine with that. Rest of the season, though, I'll just for the fun of it, I'll give you guys some would you rather's, basing this again off Ralph's top 100 pitcher list, which you can debut on Saturday. You can take a look at it. Okay, so Spencer Howard or Christian Javier?
I'll take Howard.
Ralph?
Oof.
I'll take Howard. I just like Howard a lot.
I think the right answer is Howard. He's not eligible in TGFBI, right, until next week.
Correct.
All right, good.
If he
was drafted in my league already.
I think he might have been drafted in my league. But.
Christian Javier was 58 on your top 100. And again, this is pre-Howard debuting, so like we're gonna cut you some slack for him being ranked in the 70s. Spencer Howard or Griffin Canning.
Oh, Canning.
Canning.
Okay, we're seeing just for 2020, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just 2020.
Yeah. Okay. I might even take Javier over Howard, but I don't know. Javier has looked so much more efficient than he ever
got beat up today. But
did he get beat up today? I didn't see his start.
3 innings, 5 runs against Oakland.
All right. There you go.
So we're thinking maybe a 40 starter, touching 50s range for Spencer Howard right now. I'm sure another good start gets him up there, and there'll be movement across next week.
Are you nervous he's not going to get out of the 5th though? That's kind of what my concern is, because he wasn't a guy that went really deep in the minors to begin with.
He had some, he hasn't been a shining beacon of health, Spencer Howard.
Through 81 pitches today.
He's very he's a guy that hasn't had a ton of reps, because even in college, he was a guy that was
come a long way.
10 guy. I mean, he added a ton of stuff.
He was sitting like 88, 89 in college.
Yeah, he wasn't
popped up. Yeah.
Well, like his freshman year. Yes. He went to the Cape and he worked with a coach down the Cape and kind of unlocked some stuff. And it translates the next year, and he just took off. But he's not a guy that has like a lot of pedigree or track record. That's not that he doesn't have polish, because he's a strike thrower, but I don't know.
71 innings, if I'm doing my math right, for 2019 is all he had. Yeah. And he won't cross that barrier, I think, this year. So which is why I think it's okay to assume he'll go the rest of the way. But I think his pitches today was a mix of, the velocity was down. So, it kind of shows he's a little bit gassed, and the Braves were showing they were learning to hit him. So you got to pull him. So again, just careful where you start Spencer Howard, he's not an auto start for me, at least in the top. If you're facing a top 10 MLB team in offense, boys, let's go on to someone who has been. Someone who hasn't been crushing the ball. We're gonna go good, bad, good, bad, good here. Jo Adell. Jo Adell, he got the call finally. We were all excited. Bumped Justin Upton to the bench. He was in a takeoff. He was in a big there with Mike Trout giving social distance high fives after all the home runs they were going to combine for. And so far, 2 for 15, 9 strikeouts.
So far,
that defensive play today hurt too.
And oh my goodness, that was just some
the first ever 4-base error in Major League history.
Yeah, for those who didn't see it, Jo Adell was setting up under a fly ball in right field, and he got in his glove and he just popped it out, and it went over the fence. I mean, it wasn't even he wasn't jumping for it, and it wasn't going to go over the fence. It was like
Jose Canseco style, but it was up there.
Yeah, he was like 5 feet in front of the fence, and he just looped it up there, little alley oop.
He said the ball sliced on him, and he kind of turned over his shoulder, and he said he lost it, and then he saw it and just kind of stabbed at it and kind of gave it a little boost.
That's what they all say.
No, but I will say we're kind of bagging on him. He took the interview questions like a champ, answered. That's why Jo Adell is going to be successful, is because
he's a great dude.
Stuff like that. Yes, all around, like the makeup is off the chart. Like everything you want for that. He's going to be successful, but we kind of all figured there might be some bumps in the road because the plate approach is not refined.
Did his AAA numbers kind of portend this a little bit, or to give a refresher here? 2019 AAA, he jumped from high A to AAA, and in AAA, 7% walk rate, 32% strikeout rate, 264, 321, 365 slugging. The power disappeared for a bit, kind of strange in a PCL landscape. But again, Jo Adell he was 20 for all of last year, 21 now.
There was a Pacific Coast League game where he hit 2 home runs that got canceled.
So
that would inflate the numbers a little bit.
Sure.
He made, and people, against in the AFL, I had the privilege of being in the dugout for an interview, and he was taking all the questions about why it was so tough, and he said it was just hard to adjust. You got caught in between. You see more breaking pitches in AAA than you do anywhere else, and I think there's some truth to that. AAA rosters nowadays you don't really have the guys that are throwing as hard as the big leagues, right? Because they're more the guys that have been to the big leagues that are trying to get back, that maybe low 90s with really good breaking stuff, and probably lean on to heavy, and it's a big adjustment. And it's different pitching than you're used to seeing.
Yeah, they're attacking him too. It's not like they're going straight at him. His first pitch strike is 72%. 60% is the major league average there.
Zero concern over his long-term success, but this year
not at all. Yeah, Jo Adell, how are you feeling early on, Ralph? I know he's struggling a bit. He's a little cold to start his major league career.
It's not a big shock, honestly. He's a guy that had some struggles, I think, particularly with sort of contact. The further that he got up the chain, I think he'll iron those issues out, and I think he'll be, a borderline all-star a lot of seasons. I think he'll probably push at peak as like an all-star player, but I don't think he's going to be like this 30-30 all-world kind of guy. I mean, I know I still had him top 5, but I backed off him a little bit. I had moved Jared Kelenic ahead of him, who I do think is just. I personally feel that, Kelenic all-around game is just more there. And the other thing is Kelenic being a cold weather kid, versus a guy like Adell, who was down in, I guess, a warmer climate. It was Kentucky, so it's still warm. We're not Wisconsin. No. And you look at between two organizations, how much Kelenic has caught up. I mean, I think if you redrafted that draft right now, he's 1 or 2.
Not fair.
And I mean, when I start to look at things like that, I think there's a question maybe with Gavin Lux. You could make I think Adell's impact is higher. He makes more impact with a bat. He can do a few more things, but there might be more sort of polish there with Lux. But yeah, I think, the other part of it too is it's early. It's really, really early. Adell's abilities just jump off the table. He's shown the ability to hit. He's shown the ability to work counts in the lower minors. And I think if we look at the track record, the number of games he's really played in the upper minors now into the majors over maybe a normal span of time, but when we put into the context of Corona and everything else that we've dealt with quarantines, etc. He hasn't gotten the kind of reps that you would have expected. He probably would have been in AAA, I imagine, for 2 months or so. He's not seeing those reps now, and he's just getting thrust into the major leagues. I think we all believe that, power, some of these other skills, Adell is, upper echelon. He's elite with a lot of them. But when it does come to sort of the hit tool and just tracking, making contact, he's got a ways to go. I don't think this is going to be an Alex Bregman situation where he struggles for 35 at bats and then just goes off the wall. I don't see that happening. I think it's probably going to be more of a struggle. And maybe we overrated his hit tool a little bit and underranked Louis Roberts. Fair.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we did have Robert Kelenic and Joe Adell in 234 order in our top 500. I might have been the highest on Joe Adell over the last few months from the three of us. I had him number 2 for a long time until I think we dropped our 500 maybe a week and a half into the season, and Louis Robert had a chance to impress us a little bit. And I'm digging into Joe Adell here a little bit further, and it's not like he's faced some giant, some really good pitchers. I would say maybe the most
Marco Gonzalez,
Justin Dunn, Marco Gonzalez, Kobe Adler are maybe the most proficient pitchers he's faced. And really, I think his big problem has been he's been too aggressive early in the count or just in his at-bats. He hasn't had...
Dunn and Allard aren't exactly crafty veterans that are going to carve you up with sequencing.
No. And he's chasing a lot of it. I'm in the great new Baseball Savant tool Illustrator that dropped. You can Google it to find out what it is and how to use it. But I'm looking at here, I think Marco Gonzalez, 10 pitches in 2 plate appearances might have been his most. And I don't know how it was broken up in each plate appearance.
But at bat where he got his first hit was a little chopper to third base. I think it was a pitch. Might have been the first pitch of the at bat. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. So he's antsy. He wants to make his mark.
Tejada, but it's aggressive.
He wants to make his mark, Joe Adell. So Joe Adell, I'm little lukewarm on. I don't know if I don't really own him anywhere. Unfortunately, it'd be fun to own him, but I don't think I'm going out to get him right now. I'll just if he goes off on someone else's team, that's okay for me. I'm kind of off.
He does.
Certainly, yeah. He should be one of the next faces of baseball. Yes, so 100%. Certainly root for his success. Let's take a quick break, guys. When we come back, we have 3 more names that we want to go on. 2 that have been doing great. 1 that has been doing extremely poor. We will be right back. Okay. Gentlemen, we've talked about him almost every episode, but he just demands to be talked about. He's been fun to talk about. Louis Robert, slashing 317, 379, 483, 9% walk rate, 33% strikeout rate, and maybe the scariest thing for me that kind of really puts a wet blanket over that slash line is a 472 BABIP. Of course, players who have elite speed like Robert does are going to have a higher BABIP. He hits the ball hard. He's not in like a 95th percentile hard, but we're talking like top quarter of the league. Those people are also going to have a higher BABIP. Look at Miguel Sano, for example. But 472 is just absurd. Granted, the White Sox have something weird in the water, where last year Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada had BABIPs way above 400. So maybe they passed that juice on to Louis Robert. But how does that BABIP kind of, how do you guys take that when you look at his overall numbers and kind of apply that moving forward only for 2020? Rob, I'll start with you here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a high batting average on balls in play player.
Like what? What's high for you?
I think he's like 360 to 380. So he's going to come down 100 points easy.
Okay.
Even if he runs hot for who he is, he's going to go up 100 points. But here's something I want to bring up. He's not like other guys. He's not like other hitters. Like, he'll look stupid and then make an adjustment the next at bat. He missed on 4. He got hammered by, was it Plesac? Hit him with 4 straight or 5 straight sliders. He came back the next at bat and he showed him a slider and he barreled it. Yep. If you give him good pitches, if you put anything in the zone, he's going to get his bat on. He's going to hit it. He's walking more than I expected him to walk. They're having to respect him a little bit more. Is he going to go through a rough patch? Is he going to probably stay somewhere around 28 to 30% strikeout rate? Sure. I think he's closer to what a Fernando Tatis Jr. is than anybody else. You know how Tatis, like a lot of the stuff didn't make sense. We were me, who I love Tatis. Like I hammered Cardi. I put my reputation on the line. I got heavily unfollowed that day over my Tatis love.
Rest in peace.
Coming into this season, I was like this. I would battle with Gray in the offseason. Dude, you're drafting him too high. I don't know if I can take him top 10. Like he's your first rounder.
I'm with you.
And right now he's leading in almost every conceivable category.
Number one in WAR, 8 home runs, 4 steals,
strikeouts, saves, and stolen bases. He literally needs like total bases, doubles, singles, batting average.
I get what you're saying though. It's a volatile profile.
It doesn't make sense, but his skills are so off the charts. Like, and it's funny because he'll hit pitches other guys don't hit. He'll hit a high and tight fastball and step out on it and jump it. Like who's jumping 97-mile-per-hour fastballs up in the zone that are tight?
First
other
pitch
than
of the game.
No one else is swinging on it. Other guys are ducking back. You know,
he's incredible.
He's a really fun player.
He's a top 5 dynasty player.
He's gonna burn hot and cold because I actually think that there's some parts of his game that are more refined than Baez was at this age. Like Baez struggled to make contact.
We're talking Robert here right now.
We're talking Robert here right now.
Okay.
Like, I mean, his contact numbers aren't good, but it feels like I said it a couple weeks ago. It feels like if he hits 1 out of 4 balls he swings at, he's going to be fine. And it's just the weirdest profile, you know? Because I figured he'd already be exposed, but he's still putting up numbers with like the most bizarre underlying numbers.
There was
I'm looking at his numbers, Luis Robert. That is just kind of how he's approaching with the plate.
45% O swing.
Yes, he's swinging at stuff way out, like not way outside, but his everything outside the zone. He's like swinging at it, and his strike, like you said, his contact rate 57%. Horrid 75% is MLB average there, by the way. And pitchers are throwing him strikes right now, but I think we're seeing the turn right now, Ralph and Matt, where the breakers are coming and they're coming out of the zone. So I'm super curious to see how he adjusts. Matt, are you in on Luis Robert rest of the season, or do you think we're at a point where maybe we've seen the best he's gonna look, and now he's gonna be from a great player to a good player?
I'm still in. I mean, obviously he's not going to do this the whole year because the BABIP's crazy, but he's walking more than I thought.
But he might, right? That's what a short season does. So he might have a crazy BABIP.
It's not going to be 472. It might be 372. I don't see 4. You know, the stolen bases are huge too. He's got 4.
Yeah,
I mean
that's a big part.
And if he's walking, he's going to run, and that's what you need right now. So yeah, I'm on board for the rest of the year. I mean, yeah, the average you might go through a week or two during the as you own him, especially with these weekly leagues where there's a negative, but overall he's going to help you.
There's going to be a 3-week period where you hate owning him.
Yep.
And then he's going to pop for like 2 weeks, and he's going to hit 3 homers and steal 4 more bases, and you're going to be like,
then you're going to change your Twitter avatar back to Luis Robert.
But he already has 4 steals. Like I don't think people realize
only caught once, 4 for 5.
Yeah, and he's been walking more since he's been in the leadoff spot. Nothing about him has made sense yet, which is why I don't want to.
That's why I like
to hold on until
because nothing makes sense about Tatis either. So I like that comparison.
Yeah, he's just like there's very few guys that have like that speed, that ability.
He's got the it factor too,
he can hit stuff out of the zone. It's like it's a weird profile, you know, and they almost have to respect him. And then here's the other thing: when guys throw out of the zone constantly, not everybody has a breaking ball that fools you. Not everybody has something they're going to spike that tunnels with their fastball that you can't tell the difference. There's a reason he's walked 9.5%. It's not like they've been intentionally walking him every time, you know. I think people underrate that. Like, oh, you just throw him a breaking ball out of the zone, he's going to swing. It's like maybe, but is he going to swing 3 times and not hit it? Because that's the case.
I would bet if he didn't swing at the first, you know, it didn't make contact with the first pitch or so in the at bat. I bet you most of his at bats end with 2 strikes. You know what I mean? He gets down in holes.
Yeah, I mean, like he's done this for a year now. I mean, that's the other thing. He did this in the minors, and we were like, oh, the wheels are going to fall off. And I was saying it coming into the season, you know? And then after watching him, it was like,
yeah,
there's something crazy here.
Anything could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me, essentially. But again, I do think
let's do
162. He definitely hits 250, but 60 games he could hit 300.
Yeah, in a 162 game season, what's he on pace for right now? Like 25, 20 homers.
And let's also throw this out here. With all of the double headers that are coming up,
he's played every game so far.
All of the Central Division teams that play each other in each league, okay, that have had to reschedule and rework because the Cardinals turned out to be worse than the Marlins. Shots to Eddy. What's up?
Was
first place Marlins?
I take that in part. That's all right.
But I think it's kind of crazy. But they could almost make it work because there's going to be so many of these AAA pitchers. They're going to get looks that are guys that Robert would hit.
It's a good point because pitching depth is going to get.
Yeah, the pitching depth in general is already down. Even though the ball is dragging and everything else, there's probably a reason for that.
That's why, not to get on a tangent, but Jack Flaherty owners for fantasy. I'm sorry, Cardinals have a lot of games left, but he might start 5 more times because the way they're going to be stacked up. I mean, that's not great.
If you're in a quality start league, he hurts you now.
First, shame on you as a commissioner if you're in a quality start league.
Yeah, this year that's not great, but I mean, you can't drop Flaherty. Not to get on that tangent, but
no.
But when you're looking at this, Cardinals now have to make up 55 games in 48 days, and thinking about number one, it's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen.
There's going to be games at the end of the season if they're out of contention, which probably won't happen because there's 16 teams in the playoffs.
Right.
There could conceivably be games that don't matter.
Right, but there's also but Flaherty's only going to start once every 5 days. So what is that? At the most, 6 starts? Sorry? I mean, that's not –
No.
Dealt a bad hand on that. But anyways.
So Luis Robert, we like him. We're in amazement of what he's doing. We all agree that he's going to come down to some degree. We just aren't sure what
Enjoy the ride.
It's
Watch
such a
the White
short
Sox every
season.
time they're on TV because they're fun and just –
I can't wait for that 3-week period where he's hitting 100 for a week, and everybody's pissed off. It's going to be great.
His exit velocity numbers are top 10 in the league at my last check. Might be higher than that now.
I don't think so. I don't think he
was at one point. Am I wrong?
Maybe after that.
What metric you're looking at? You just looking
after after his first MLB hit, that was 116. Yes, he was top after that, but not since.
Stanton has taken that crown.
He's been good though. That's a lot of Luis Robert talk. I want to go on to someone who I was really hyped for. Ralph, you were hyped for him as well. Seattle Mariners first baseman Evan White. He leads baseball at the time that we're recording this with a 42% strikeout rate, slashing 105, 179, 193, and 2 for his last 41. I was digging into Evan White to kind of figure out what exactly is it that's going on with him. And it seems like the dude has a hole in his bat because he's not chasing an inordinate amount. Everything is roughly in line. It's just the contact he's making inside the zone. He's just not making contact inside the zone.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he's chasing a ton of pitches down and away. But even when he's swinging inside the zone, he's just not making contact. And it's just such a weird start for him. And I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of Evan White right now. He's a bench in your redraft leagues because you just can't start someone who's doing this poorly anymore. Even if it's I think I'm gonna have him in a 20-team league with corner infield, and I'm benching him there.
Yeah, you bench him there. You don't cut him in that format, but I think 15 teams you probably cut him right now. Honestly.
No, you're not wrong. You don't have enough time to wait for someone to right the ship, and it's not looking good right now for Evan White. He hits the ball hard. Exit velocity is solid, but it's just not there for him right now. And again, like I mentioned, it just seems like he has a hole in his bat every time he swings in his zone.
Mariners here, because now you can't really pull the plug. You just kind of got to let him ride it out. I mean, who are you pulling the plug for? Who's gonna?
What's I haven't. I haven't looked at Mariners. Yeah, he's a DH. So yeah. And Evan White is number one. He's still electric in the field as far as defensive first baseman can go. He's at the top of the scale. But
the jump from Double A to the big leagues is a big one, man. My dude.
Yeah, they're not gonna. I mean,
you can't pull the plug. You just gotta let them go, man. I mean,
they don't really have the depth right now to kind of back them up, unless they want to shift around some guys and make
Jose
like
Marmoleos.
Yes, jeez. No, I mean, like it's like you said, like you don't want to get to a point where you crush his confidence and play like Austin Nola at first and bring him like put your backup catcher to catch or like I actually don't know if did it more.
3 minutes, by the way. Hopefully, I get that Austin Nola love. But,
yeah. So I mean, not much to take away from Evan White. To me, it just seems like he's just not making contact inside of the zone. He's reaching or just whiffing a lot on pitches down and away specifically. But I'm not sure what adjustment you make here. You just kind of stay with what you got at least. Any advice for Evan White, guys?
Hasn't stolen any bags either.
Good. The defense is good.
Yeah.
He's been off. I mean, he's been off since camp. I talked with Joe Doyle the other day, who's obviously does the Mariners beat and his work outside of Prospects Live, and he said that White had comments like in summer camp even where he's just like, I don't feel right.
Oh wow,
interesting.
So, yeah,
well, if that's the case, I know he signed that contract, but
he's out of sorts. He's just out of sorts, and timing is off, and I think that's happened for a lot of guys. Cough, cough, Christian Yelich. There's a lot of really good players that are just off right now.
It's crazy. Robert and White both signed those pre-arbitration contracts, and I think the contract put them both in the major leagues, and for the better or worse, right? We're seeing it in both shapes. Because if Evan White doesn't sign that contract, he's probably shipped out by now. But
yeah, you're right.
Christian Yelich actually has been turning it around. He has home runs in 3 of his last 4, but he was actually a top 5
one was
strikeout
inside
rate.
The park because it was rough out there by Eloy.
Sometimes that's what you need, man.
Yeah, maybe that got him going.
That's what maybe got him going. Speaking of getting going, Trent Grisham, man. Trent Grisham is going, boys.
Team Smarta.
I
loved. Hold up now. I was big on Grisham.
To become the guy on Trent Grisham. I am sorry, Smarta.
No.
All 3 of us were like Trent Grisham.
You like Grisham?
June of last year.
Eddy gets credit for him, and Bruce Dark Gratterall are Eddy's dudes. Okay, Eddy.
Come on, man.
I don't see.
Give me Trent Grisham.
See a Trent Grisham picture. I just see leaves in the background. So you're obviously not that big of a Grisham guy.
This guy's name back here is Trent. Trent. This is Bruce Dark behind me a shirt, and I've named my leaves.
Well, I'm happy we got to call out somebody for being somebody's guy.
Yeah,
for once.
Hey, I gotta give rep to Smarta, but hey, if you guys are right, then you're right.
Yeah, screw you.
Smarta's got the tattoo though.
Who can be my guy? Can I get a new guy now that Tyler O'Neill isn't good? Can I get like a new guy?
Tyler O'Neill's good. He just hasn't had time. Ralph is the.
I win. I always win. Sorry.
That's good. That's good.
We'll come back to you, Ralph. Think at the end of this episode, I'm going to ask you who is your guy. Think about it for a little bit as we talk about Trent Grisham.
See, in Ralph's defense, Ralph has so many guys over the years that.
Don't think about it right now, Matt. Trent Grisham, 246, 377, 526, 4 homers, 3 steals, 294 BABIP. So I'm 100% in believing this is the
BABIP is way down across the league too. So he's above average at 294.
And I was listening to the Rates and Barrels pod, and Harris was talking about the reach rate statistic, where Trent Grisham is one of the best. And essentially,
not chasing and he's not missing.
Exactly, nailed it. As simple as that. So I'm all in on Trent Grisham. He made a change, not a very slight change last year when he was with Milwaukee, and he just said he just wanted the ball to come in more into the strike zone. He was waiting back on it, and that's the only big noticeable change that he's at least said himself. I don't know if maybe there's something else. I'd have to dive in and look at it. But I am all in on Trent Grisham. He's a buy high candidate for me, both in redraft and in dynasty leagues. I'm just one share across.
Cemented himself into that 2 spot. Get the bat behind Tatis and in front of Machado. I mean, that's a pretty cushy place to be.
Padres are popping right now. Yeah, Trent Grisham is someone that, again, I'm all in on him. Go grab him in your leagues, and I'll put up the top 100 hitters here by Phil Goyette to see where he has Trent Grisham 96 in his most recent update. Too low for me. Phil has some questionable ones here that I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind after this podcast. But Trent Grisham or Anthony Rizzo. Matt, just put the bias aside.
I'll probably put Rizzo, but compare him to another outfielder. Let me tell where we're at.
Okay.
Rizzo does a lot of the same. Rizzo's going to have a high OBP just like Grisham, so I'll go.
Yeah, and Rizzo's been quiet,
bulky back, but the Cubs had a recent stretch where they didn't play a couple games due to other teams' cancellations, so that only helps them health wise.
Ralph, real quick before I choose an outfielder here, Rizzo or Grisham?
It's close, but Rizzo.
Grisham.
Ooh.
Grisham. Okay, I like it.
Talking 2020 or talking
2020?
I'm talking everything right now.
Oh, look at that! I'm coming out.
Sorry, Smata, you're out.
Grisham can run. He has power. He's really important to that lineup.
Yeah, no, you're checking every box.
Yeah, I think Trent Grisham is the prospect that gives hope to all high school players that do not have immediate success out of the draft. And we wrote off Grisham when he was Trent
Clark.
And he reemerged. The numbers were pretty good. I think the numbers were pretty good prior to the year prior to him popping, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
you're right.
Talking a lot. I just can't remember what the stat line was. It's been 2 years. But
San Antonio, just kind of a little break.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of popped, and then like all of a sudden, beginning of last season, it was like, all right, all in on Trent Grisham. This guy is for real. Goes up to AAA, continues to hit. Gets some time obviously in the majors. Rough end to his season with that catch in Milwaukee, and then he got traded.
Man.
He's in a better spot. He's in a better spot, and he's in a good, young, fun lineup. He's got guys around him that provide protection. And also the ability to get on base and score runs on a single if they're at first.
He's like
the T's can do. And to me, like, I don't know. I feel like the season doesn't go well for the Cubs, it's going great for the Cubs. But if it did, sorry, Matt. But if it didn't, I mean,
season doesn't count anyways.
He's a guy that could opt out at any time, and I don't know.
The season doesn't count anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
true. Yeah, I mean, I like Rizzo, but I just think Grisham in all formats right now is
Grisham is like, I'm not comparing him.
I have an 8-team team, a league team against all of the dads in my town. Don't worry, guys. I'm beating all the dads by about 20% of the point margin. It's
I think they
almost straight full totals across.
You told me it was their idea to create a league. I was like, they might be in a little bit of trouble. Sorry, the dads.
Yeah, they talk smack too. Like,
the New England dads. You're second.
Like that wasn't good, But dude, I churn my roster every day. Like they don't get it. Like it's an 18 league, guys. Just you can do whatever you want. Just have guys in your roster every day and you get counting stats. It's easy. But I haven't dropped Trent Grisham. I've kept him in my lineup like every day. He's one of the few bench guys I don't dump.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
Team, like right now, I own Trent Grisham, so I think that says it all.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like, is Grisham entering top 15, 20 outfielder range for Dynasty if he's not there already?
He might be there already. I'd have to look at the exact outfielders, but
right. And like,
off my head, it doesn't seem like a crazy take.
I'm not comparing him to like Soto directly, but if you miss out on Soto, Grisham's a damn good piece to get. You get similar skills with some stolen bases added to it.
It's been
from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah. I think he's really good. I think he certainly climbed the ranks extremely fast. If we were to redraft a Dynasty League today, it's been only 16 games though, so I want to temper my own expectations as much as I love him. But
more than that, because he hit last year too.
Well, but you want to see what he does in majors, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was okay. 231, 328, 410 in with the Brewers in 51 games, and he's really flourished here. The power's really come out here with a new ball that's not as de-juiced as well too. So that's always nice. But yeah, so I'm glad to see we all share the Trent Grisham love. We'll wrap up just a real quick thing. We'll jump into our TGFBI reactions. I'm essentially broke, but Mackenzie Gore was the name we had as a potential call-up this week. But the Padres, they have a TBD for, I think it was a Tuesday start when this podcast goes live. But the latest news is AJ Casavel is reporting Luis Perdomo gets the ball to start the game. It's not clear if it's a full start, if it's a bullpen game. Maybe it's a Luis Perdomo, Luis Patino bulk game. So the point is, I don't see Mackenzie Gore getting called up, and if he does, it's in a role that's not as exciting for fantasy. Matt, you're not optimistic. Dylan Carlson is getting the call this weekend.
They got to play first, man.
Yeah, so nothing exciting, guys. Apologies.
Well, there's an outfielder for the Cardinals that tested positive, so maybe that opens up a spot. I hate saying it like that, but that's the truth. So
yeah, it's fair. Ralph, did you think of a guy who you can be your guy? I mean, well, Chris Paddock, you were big on him, right?
Paddock was my guy. I don't need to have a guy.
Okay.
I'm all right. I'm all right with not.
Everyone's his guy.
If I'm gonna have and then I had Bryant Packard stolen from me. Bryant Packard was my guy first. I just want to throw that out.
Well, I mean, nobody knows who Trevor Huth is. So he's still there.
I liked him. I liked him in the summer before the Tigers drafted him. I was like, this is a great human being. I was DMing with his parents, and all of a sudden Huth comes in and
but nobody knows who Huth is, so you're fine.
No one knows who Bryant Packard is either.
Kidding. Oh man.
No.
Sorry, Trevor Huth. This is a bad ending for you.
But he's not a top 200 prospect.
No. Sure.
He's not one of those guys.
I got a name for you.
I'll take Mackenzie Gore.
Peyton Burdick. Peyton Burdick's your dude.
Oh yeah, you're big on Burdick. I mean, I love Burdick as well. You're
Gonzalez, dude. Andrew Vaughn. Those are like my boys. I want Andrew Vaughn and Nick Gonzalez to be like Hall of Famers.
If they're good at the Cape, the
Cape guys. Pretty much any Cape guys I've written about.
Well, you tipped me off on Burdick because you told me he had exit velocities in the Cape were nuts, and then I went and happened to see him in the West League game.
He had the highest exit velocities in a Cape season that included Andrew Vaughn and Spencer Torkelson.
Who are those guys? I just know who Peyton Burdick is. I don't know who the other two are. But.
All right, boys, let's wrap up this podcast. We're pretty much just under an hour. Very quickly, TGFBI thoughts. I'll wrap up with my FAAB bids. I'm literally broke. I spent $700 on my wins today. I took home, and let me just put up this thing here. I did take home Rafael Montero for. Let me put up the FAAB results. Here we go. Rafael Montero for 336. 136 was a runner-up. I was way over.
Went for 429 in my league.
I was in your league. Rowan Wick took him for 237. 131 was a run-up.
I already have him.
Proud of my Dobnak and Dylan Moore FAAB bids, though. Dobnak 78, runner-up 67. Dylan Moore 49, runner-up 38.
Dylan Moore might get more time with Evan White struggling. That might be the guy that goes.
Bro, I have the worst FAAB bid in my TGFBI, and it happens to be somebody that
tell me.
Battling with right now for offensive points. My offense went down the tank this week a little bit after being like top 10 in the competition. Somebody had an uncontested $201 bid on Monty Harrison.
What? Wait, what? I dropped Monty Harrison for one of my bids.
I dropped Monty Harrison a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
I don't have him anymore either.
Yeah,
I won Mike.
And I can tell you what my bids are. I didn't want any of the fun guys. So here we go. Here's some good ones.
They don't have to be fun.
Paul went for 238, runner-up 202. That's fine. Rafael Montero went for 235, so it was way underbidding there. Runner-up was 198. Roman Wick was 202. Runner-up was 64. Then it was the Monty Harrison uncontested for 201. Donovan Solano, who I had actually bid on, 183. Runner-up was 82. So I was way off on that. I think I bid $20 on him. Ryan Helsley, I bid $1 on, and he went for 157. I had the runner-up bid though with $1. Tauchman, who I didn't need, went for 123. The runner-up bid there was 16. Tuki Toussaint went for 109. The runner-up bid was 23. Dylan Moore, who I had bid 22 on, went for 81. I was the runner-up bid there. Louis Garcia was a $75 uncontested bid. I mean, some of these uncontested bids are like making me laugh. So I got Keller for birdie for $1, Evan Longoria for Josh Van Meter because I need a backup third baseman with Keyboom, I guess, sort of questionable for how much he's going to do, and Josh Donaldson going on the DL. And then I added my deep sleeper here, multi-position guy, two-way guy, Jake Cronenworth.
I tried to get him
for $1. All of those guys for $1, honestly, like, fine, pay $80 for whoever.
Yep.
I figure the next couple of weeks when these closers break and the new ones come in, I'll just start spending some of that FAAB dough. So
my FAAB was not sexy either, but I won Mike Tuckman. We talked about it in pre-show. I won for 102. Runner-up bid was 68. So
Okay.
left some money on the table there, but that's fine. These next three, I love these next three. Brad Keller for $25. Next bid was 22, so good bid for me. Danny Duffy for 13. Runner-up was 11, so I'll take that as well. And Larry Garcia for $11, and the runner-up was 7. So I'm very good with my money this week. I'll take all that.
You did.
Yeah, we're good on that. I hate dropping Tyler O'Neill, but Mike Tauchman should be a decent source of playing time with the Stanton injury. So here we go.
So here's the question. Do I play Longoria or do I play Keyboom?
I mean, I would have to look at their matches.
Keyboom, probably.
Longoria's at Houston.
It's a good right field porch. He's a pull hitter, so I might go Longo.
He's going to play every day too, right?
Yeah.
And Keyboom is at the Mets.
And Houston's pitching has been atrocious.
Keyboom is at the Mets for 4, and San Francisco is at Houston for 3. So what do we say? Where are we going there?
Well, Keyboom's probably going to sit one of those games because he doesn't play every day.
I mean, dude, how many at-bats has Keyboom had this season?
He was hurt a little bit to start the year off. But I think Longoria is the option, unfortunately.
I think it's probably Longoria just to be safe. I need the safety in TGFBI, and these like bigger competitions, you got to be a little safe with that stuff.
I missed out on Cronenworth. He went for 55, runner up at 45. I bid 41. I wasn't even on
Actually, I could play Cronenworth in that spot too.
I don't think he can play third, but he can move everyone around.
No, corner infield spot.
Right, there you go.
My third baseman's Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, you can play him over Jose too. It's all right.
I don't know. Do I end up playing Cronin? I mean, dude, he had 17 at bats last week. I mean, he's got more at bats last week.
Play every day. He's earned it.
All right. I think I'm going to play him. I'm going to roll with him and hope Longoria
does the second baseman now with Profar moving to the bench from what I'm reading. So
I like it.
The 32nd attempt to make Jurickson Profar a thing has not taken.
All right. Sorry, I was just kind of coming in terms that I have $4
frozen.
No. Coming in terms that I have $4 left in TGFBI rest of the season.
Well, good thing there's one. Oh man, there's no $0 bids either. So
rub some pennies, boys. All right, we're just over an hour, gentlemen. Another great episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week. Have another great week of baseball. Wish you luck in your leagues, and holler at us if you have any questions at Prospects Live, and be on the lookout for all our wonderful content. We'll see you next week.